How you going, guys? It's l0lergy here, and welcome to episode 2 of l0lergy's opinion pieces. For those of you who are aware of this video, I did one probably 4 days ago, or 5, or about a week ago, about Jagex's business mentality. And the forums and the places that I posted this sort of video around, actually people really enjoyed it. A lot of people were PMing me my inbox asking me to make more and bring more discussion back to communities. So if I'm getting that sort of attention around the video, why not make another one? So for this video, I'm going to do the topic, will Iron Man be one of Jagex's greatest updates? And Iron Man is really sort of an interesting topic. It comes with a lot of good, I must say. First things first though, what actually is Iron Man? I know a lot of people already know what it is, but there will be a few people that might view this video that will have no idea what I'm talking about. So Iron Man is a series or a challenge where you play a character from scratch, but you have no outside interaction. You can't trade with people, you can't use the ground exchange, you cannot pick loot up off the ground, you can't kill people in the wild for loot, you can't do group activities like mini games. It's all you. It's your game. You will have to go out and kill a goblin for a spear if you want a spear. You have to go out and do the hero's quest if you want a rune plate body from the shop. Everything you do is how you progress in the game. There's no outside influence. So before we actually get started, I need to make the disclaimer that this is an opinion piece. It's what I think. It might not be what you think. So please don't shoot me if you sort of disalign or don't agree with some of the things I have to say. So now that that's out of the way, we shall get into the reasons why it's good. So to start with, we'll talk about the reasons why it's a good update. Iron Man really does bring a lot to the table, so this section will be quite large, but we'll get into it. It introduces a style of competitive play unlike anything RuneScape's ever seen before. Yes, currently we do have a high score system, but that's more of a testament to one's ability to sort of click a lot and to AFK. And I don't really want to take much away from the players who are up the top of that food chain. It is quite a feat to have the ability to do that, but the high scores for normal game and hardcore Iron Man will have a different representation of skill sets. More so specifically with hardcore Iron Man, that'll be more of a testament to skill, strategizing, and ability to progress up the food chain without actually dying. And if they do implement this achievement system that I'll talk about further in the video, that'll even reinforce that mentality more. This game mode is very, very successful in other games. I don't know how old people are here or how much they remember back in the day. There was a game called Diablo 2, and Diablo 2 specifically was revolutionary in what it did to the genre. It did bring a system very similar where if you died, it was all over, and they had a high score and sort of competitive ladder that went with that. And you could see on the table who was in the lead and who wasn't. You couldn't spend 10 years in one game and become the best player because you die. It truly was a testament to one's skill and ability to problem solve without actually dying. And that really does introduce a new level of competitive play into RuneScape. It attracts new players to the game. It's another tool in Jagex's toolbox to market to an alternative player base. So Jagex or RuneScape itself really hasn't had this style of gameplay before. It hasn't had a competitive you're dead and it's over mentality to it. And that really is an alluring factor to a lot of players that play these sorts of games. And if Jagex can actually market that properly, they can bring in a lot of new players to the game, and that'll be great for it. It rejuvenates interest into the meta and low tier gameplay again. The lower ends of the game haven't really been played through much anymore. They're sort of barren wasteland that get left behind, I guess you could say. With the introduction of Iron Man and hardcore Iron Man accounts, we have to relive that experience again. We have to play through the lower levels again. And doing that will allow us to give feedback to them to improve the lower end game of the lower end tier of gameplay again. It'll like smooth things out. They might weed some bugs or kinks out of the lower end tier gameplay. And the good thing about that is the product at the end of it. Once a new player does eventually come along and the Iron Man accounts have progressed up to the higher ranks, they get this nice, beautifully polished lower end tier gameplay that the Iron Man accounts have reweeded back through. Because let's be honest, there hasn't been that much love to the low tier game for quite a while now because there hasn't been a huge influx of players. So with the Iron Man accounts progressing through, they're just going to tweak things and make things a lot better for the new players to come in the future. It truly does make the players feel powerful, and it really is a testament to the pure definition of powers to the player. With this, it pretty much, for those who aren't aware, Iron Man is a brainchild of the community, not so much Jagex. Jagex didn't sit down one day, a pen to paper, and say, that's the greatest idea we've ever come up with. It was actually the community, a set of players that thought up the idea, popularized it through Twitch streams, which then allowed people to catch on and get a bit of notoriety. And for the players, they feel like this is their love child. This is something they've created that Jagex have endorsed to them, and it does make them feel powerful and actually that their ideas are noticed and that they have a say. So they're really the main points of why Ironman is good. There are a few little other ones along the way, but for the most part, I think I've covered them quite well now. But as everyone knows, with the good does come a little bad, and actually I wouldn't really call this bad. It'd be more something to watch out for in the future. But with that, let's get into it. So, really, in all honesty, I can't see that many things that can go wrong with Ironman. There isn't that much bad involved around it. There are a few things, however, Jagex should really be mindful of when they do this sort of gameplay mode. As I said earlier in the pros of the video, it is the player base's love child. It is something they created, it's something they feel ownership over, and it's something that they've put time into creating themselves. And if Jagex introduce updates to that sort of tarnish the mentality the player base have of that, it'll really come back to bite them in the ass. Because, as I said earlier, they feel ownership, and if you fuck with their child, it's the best word I can really think of. If you fuck with their child, they're going to arc up and come back for you. So a good example of that was the Squeal of Fortune. Jagex wanted to implement the Squeal of Fortune into their Ironman idea, and that backfired massively. You don't have to take far to go have a look at the forums and read Reddit, read the RuneScape community, any of those sort of forums, and it sort of had quite a negative impact. And I think Jagex seen that. And once again, in my early video, how I said there needs to be a guy at the top who makes these decisions, whether it's a good or bad idea. I don't know. They must have watched my video and listened, because someone did step up and say, "Hang on, no, that's a shit idea. We're going to get rid of that," and that's what they did. And I'm very thankful for that. So that does once again reinforce that the players do have a bit of control over what they say, and that'll go long ways in the future. I don't really know if this is bad or good. It's sort of good for merchant clans, but if all the high level people are playing lower accounts, and obviously the market's going to take a bit of a hit, you get some sort of inflation and prices might soar up and all this sort of stuff. So it's just more suspicion innuendo. We don't really know that for sure, but I do have a sneaking suspicion that market prices will rise in the future with all these players playing earlier accounts. Now that I've got some of the good and bad out of the way, I'll talk about one particular thing I guess I'd recommend that they add to Ironman. There's a lot of other little things that you could add and recommend and tweak and refine and all that, but there is one core element to the whole entire thing that I don't know if they're planning, but no one's really mentioned it anywhere. But I recommend that they add a sort of achievement high score system. So for example, let's say the achievement is to loot a rare item at God War's dungeon, and then it'll say you're the 8th person to do that. You know, the original high scores does sort of represent skill in a way, but it's all good and well to just get skills to 99 like agility without ever having to die and no risk, but to actually get true achievements and see a community that sees that, that even then reinforces that competitive mentality. If truly myself, if I see an achievement that says loot a rare item from God Wars, I'll be pushing my hardest to try and achieve that, because my name will be up the top for looted Bando's Righty Rah Rah, and I was the 7th person to get a rare item off it. You know, other examples are loot a rare item off the Cowfight Queen, or be the first one to kill Virago, or, you know, like, it would just say, killed Virago 1, like rank 1, you know, sort of things like that. They should really think about adding that, because with Hardcore Ironman, you do breed off of a hardcore philosophy, and the more you can reinforce that, and the more tools you can put to back that sort of philosophy up, the better off you're going to be in the future. That's really the only main thing at the moment that I can think of that they should try and add to the game. I'm sure I'll think of something later on down the future, but for now, that's all I've got, so you're going to have to live with it. So, in summary, we've talked about the good, the bad, and one thing that they can do better. I'm going to take and read a bit of a snippet out of my notes on the other screen. Yes, it's going to be fucking awesome, so get that shit while you can. That's really all I can say about it. I don't see anything bad evolved around this. It's a real gain versus low risk mentality. They can bring in new players, they can revamp previous content, they can do all sorts of good things with it. And I truly do believe that it'll be probably one of the greatest updates Jagex themselves have ever brought to RuneScape. Whether some people don't notice that now, but in the future, I really truly think they will. And I'm glad that they're doing it, because this really has rejuvenated my interest in the game. I've been grinding a lot trying to get a max cape, but for me to have something else to do like this is just great. So with that, guys, that's really the end of the video. Once again, probably could have structured a bit better, but I'm not good at that. I just like to hit the record button and talk. And in the future there'll be more videos like this. I've sort of got a notepad on the other side of the screen with a few ideas I've jotted down, and once I do think I feel motivated to do another video, I go research those topics and I just talk about them. So yes, there'll be more in the future. I've got a few more ideas on my notepad. So with that, guys, that's at the end of the video. If you like what you hear, and if you like these sorts of videos, please don't hesitate to rate, like, and subscribe. It does help me out. I'm trying to get somewhere with this channel, and it does make me feel good if I do see some progress at the end of the day. So with that, guys, have a good day.